We are an Alaskan family. We make our home in Juneau, southeast Alaska. Our children were born and raised here, and they've come to love the beauty and frontier spirit just as we have. They share our love of music, and together we perform in Alaska and internationally for thousands of people each year. We invite you on an adventure to see the Alaska we know and love. We'll travel by air, boat, hiking trails, and along the way we'll share music in some of our favorite locations. So join us for our Southeast Alaskan Odyssey.
Company jumps from Heath Reveille. He's a boogie boogie bugle boy, company fee.
And I can't see them flying cars or taking trips from here to Mars, but I love girls.
Like the stars of the morning, his bright crown adorning, they will shine in their beauty, bright gems for his crown.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the Alaskan String Band.
Well, thank you so much. Welcome to beautiful Juneau. How was your day here today? It was beautiful. It wasn't raining. It was a bonus day here today, wasn't it? Well, thank you for joining us tonight. We're so excited to join you. Among the first Alaskans were the Tsimshian, the Haida, and the Tlingit. These three native tribes made their homes along the inland waterways of southeast Alaska. Then, in 1879, a German mining engineer named George Pilz moved to Sitka, Alaska, and purchased a small mine. He offered a reward of 200 blankets and work to an entire tribe to any local Indian chief would bring him a sample of gold-bearing ore. When Chief Cowie and the Taco Indians brought him a sample, he outfitted Joe Juneau and Richard Harris to stake a claim where Juneau is today. Within a year, over 100 prospectors had rushed into the small mining community, which was later named in honor of Joe Juneau. And there were 4 largely successful mining groups in the Juneau area, consisting of hundreds of claims and mines. The Treadwell and AJ mines produced billions of dollars of gold and employed thousands of people. The AJ mine pictured here operated on Mount Roberts, right next to the ship, excavating over 300 miles of tunnel throughout that mountain. Some of those tunnels big enough to drive a semi through, and one chamber hollowed out in this mountain is so enormous the Superdome would fit inside of it. This was known as hard rock gold. Aboard the Princess May, took her due north on a trip for 3 days. Search of wealth and the promise of gold, digging in the dirt and he left me cold. There's work in the mine if you're willing to go, 2,000 feet down the shaft below, way down deep in the Treadwell mine, working all day for $3 and a dime. 7 days a week on an 8-hour shift, mucking all days who follow that drift. Better run for the cage if you feel your head spin. The gas doesn't kill you, it'll be a cave-in. Way down deep in the Treadwell mine, working all day for $3 and a dime. Hands go numb in the damp and the cold, drilling all day for that hard rock gold. Hear the whistle blow, 3 long shrieks from that cavern below. You're up with the shudder when you hear that blast. You know another miner has breathed his last. Way down deep in the treadwell mine, working all day for $3 and a dime. Hands go numb in the damp and the cold, drilling all day for that hard rock gold. 2,000 feet down the treadwell mine, working all day for $3 and a dime. Mine goes numb in the damp and the cold, selling your soul for that hard rock gold. Let's drill for some gold. Thank you. The Treadwell mine was just across Gastineau Channel on Douglas Island, pictured here. It caved in 1917, 2,500 vertical feet of it. The ground opened up, it swallowed an Olympic-sized swimming pool, a myriad of buildings, and then the ocean roared in, filling the entire mine with such force that it sent a geyser of water out an adjacent air vent 250 feet into the air. Miraculously, the cave-in occurred at shift change. No one was injured or killed.
Well, Southeast Alaska and Alaska in general is home to some phenomenal wildlife. Hopefully you've gotten to see some while you're here. But some of the most ferocious and wild wildlife that you have yet to probably hear about are the native squirrels that live in this area. We had a squirrel, well, not we, but Emily and Quinn had one. He broke into their house and stole a bag of English muffins last week. So, if you see a squirrel running around downtown with a bag of English muffins, please call animal control. But because of the wonderful wildlife, we thought we'd take a few minutes and show you some that you'll hopefully see while you're in this area. Keep it up.
Well, thank you so much. Did anyone get a chance to go out whale watching today? No? How about anyone go up the Mount Roberts Tramway today? Were you up there? Great. Well, these photographs we have the good pleasure of showing you today are taken by over 20 different Alaska photographers. We've been collecting these photographs for over 10 years. We have an enormous collection of wonderful pictures. A friend of mine took this picture from the front porch of his home. It's a mother humpback and its calf breeching at the same moment. How'd you like that for your front yard?
In 1913, Hudson Stuck, who was the Archdeacon of the Yukon, organized the first successful expedition to climb Mount McKinley, or Denali, 20,300 vertical feet. The four-man team spent 7 weeks climbing the mountain, and while en route, they shot bighorn sheep and caribou for their food. Boning the animals out, they placed the meat into a large pot, where they then added a large amount of butter. They then made baseball-sized butter balls of meat by the hundreds and laid them out in the snow and froze them, and this became their main source of food while climbing the mountain. These were very intrepid explorers. This was long before the days of good mountaineering gear, no bottled oxygen, no Gore-Tex. In fact, they couldn't even find good footwear. They climbed Mount McKinley wearing moccasins on their feet. They had to wear 8 pairs of socks to keep their toes from freezing. As the team neared the summit, they all unanimously agreed it was only appropriate that the first documented person to ever step foot there should be an Alaska native. Hudson Stuck's associate, Walter Harper, met the team's desired request, so as they neared the top of the mountain, they slowed, allowing Harper to take the lead, and he was indeed the first person to ever step foot there. A number of years later, Walter Harper developed typhoid fever, and while he was in Fairbanks, Alaska, recovering, he fell in love with a young nurse, Frances, who was attending him. He offered her a proposal of marriage, which she accepted, and for their honeymoon, they determined to go south, as many people did in that era, so they made their way down to Skagway in order to await the arrival of a steamer. Well, that year, Skagway was choked with stampeders, also hoping to go south for the winter. But finally, a ship came into port called the Princess Sophia. Typically, the Princess Sophia was outfitted to carry 250 passengers, but this year they overloaded the ship with 354. She set sail, but shortly after leaving Skagway, halfway between Skagway and Juneau here where we live, in the middle of Lynn Canal, the Princess Sophia ran aground on a charted rock called Vanderbilt Reef. The skipper radioed for help and other ships came to his aid, and once he felt secure, he took a closer look at his ship and he noted it was not damaged or leaking. So he declined any offer to offload the passengers with hopes of floating the ship off the reef that night with the incoming tide. But, as fate would have it, a ferocious storm came roaring out of the Yukon that night with winds of over 100 miles an hour. The other ships had to flee for their own safety. And over the course of 3 days, the Princess Sophia broke apart on Vanderbilt Reef and sank with all hands. All 354 people perished. It was the worst maritime disaster in the Pacific Ocean up until that point in history. Aren't you glad you're here visiting us on a ship? You're welcome. There was one survivor. There was a little dog who was able to swim the 5 miles to the beach in the frigid water. But Walter and Frances Harper were on board the Princess Sophia the night that it went down on their honeymoon. So I'd like to sing a song for you that we've written about the wreck of the Princess Sophia.
I will love you forever, my darling, my lover, Mr. Harper, my life. And the north wind is starting to moan. Hold tightly, my darling, hold tight. satisfied as a fountain. I'm afraid not a soul will survive. There's a hole on the shores near Seabourn from a dog who just barely survived, and he cries for the princess to fly. Goodbye, my Sophia, goodbye. I will love you forever, my darling, my lover, Mr. Harper, my life. And the north wind is starting to blow. Hold tightly, my darling, hold tight.
Thank you. I'd like to take a minute to introduce ourselves. We are the Alaska String Band. We live here in Juneau, Alaska. We are all one family, but none of these are my children. I had a man come up to me after a show in Juneau one day, and he said, "You must be so proud of your kids." It was the darkest day of my life. Over here on the stage left, not my son, this is my younger brother Quinn on the upright bass. Next to him is his wife Emily. Across from Emily, this is my younger sister Abigail. She is 19 years old. The patriarch, older than all of us combined, and the man that John Denver gets his looks from. This is my dad, Paul. Next to him is my mother, Melissa. She plays the violin, designs and sews our regalia, and on our Australian tour was the only member of the band to be bitten by a kangaroo. This is Melissa. And my name is Laura. I am the star and the CEO. Thank you for coming to my show today.
Thank you. The regalia we are wearing today is designed after the Alaskan native Yupik Eskimo tribe Kuspuk. The Kuspuk was traditionally crafted as a hooded coverall made from skin to be worn over a fur parka in order to keep the fur clean. Kuspuks are a favorite attire for Alaskans year-round, as they are worn for outdoor recreation and everyday activities. They also hold a celebrated place in special occasions, such as a potlatch or a wedding ceremony. The tradition of the Kuspuk is kept alive today in the homes of Alaskans, as the craft of designing and sewing them is handed down from mother to daughter. Various fabrics are chosen for durability, depending on the occasion of use and the season of the year. Calico cotton is a popular choice for the ladies' dresses, which feature a hood, Eskimo-style pockets, and a flounced skirt. Both jackets and dresses might be adorned with buttonwork or beading, and many are appliqued in wildlife or botanical themes. All Kuspuks are generously decorated with rickrack or ribbon trim, and at times they are edged in fur. This is a photo of our daughter Abigail, followed by our daughter Laura at age 1, posing in her first Kuspuk and set of mucklucks. So as you travel throughout the state of Alaska, you may recognize the kuspuk being worn from the bottom of the southeast Alaskan Panhandle all the way to the North Slope. And for those of you curious about our shoes, there is nothing Eskimo about them.
When I hear that trumpet sound, I will lay my burdens down. I will lay them deep into the ground. Then I'll know that I am glory bound. I'll be traveling far from home, but I won't be looking for too long. I'll be crossing over the great divide, and a better home soon I will reside. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, when I'm in my resting place, I look on my mother's face. Nevermore will I have to know all the loneliness that plagues me so. So I'm waiting for that train to come. And I know where she's coming from. Listen, can you hear her on the track? When I board, I won't be coming back. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the man who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The Northern Lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake Labarge. I cremated Sam McGee. Now, Sam McGee was from Tennessee, where the cotton blooms and blows. Why he left his home in the South to roam round, God only knows. He was always cold, but the land of gold seemed to hold him like a spell. And he'd often say in his homely way that
I'd sooner live in hell.
on a Christmas day we were mushing our way over the Dawson Trail. Talk of your cold, through the parka's fold it stabbed like a driven nail. If our eyes we'd close, then the lashes froze, till at times we couldn't see. It wasn't much fun, but the only one to whimper was Sam McGee.
Oh.
And that very night, as we lay packed tight in our robes beneath the snow, and the dogs were fed, and the stars o'erhead were dancing heel and toe, he turned to me and,
Cap,
says he,
I'll cash in this trip, I guess. And if I do, I'm asking that you won't refuse my last request.
well, he seemed so low I couldn't say no. And he says with a sort of moan,
Oh, it's the cursed cold, and it's got right hold, till I'm chilled clean through to the bone. Yet 'tain't being dead, it's my awful dread of the icy grave that pains. So I want you to swear that foul or fair, you'll cremate my last remains.
a friend's last need is a thing to heed. So I swore I wouldn't fail, and we started on at the streak of dawn. But God, he looked ghastly pale. He crouched in the sleigh, and he raved all day of his home in Tennessee.
Rocky Top moonshine.
And before nightfall, a corpse was all that was left of Sam McGee. There wasn't a breath in that land of death, and I hurried horror-driven with a corpse half hid that I couldn't get rid because of a promise given. It was lashed to the sleigh, and it seemed to say,
You may tax your running brains, but you promised true, and it's up to you to cremate those last remains.
Now a promise made is a debt unpaid, and the trail has its own stern code. In the days to come, though my lips were dumb, in my heart how I cursed that load. In the long, long night by the lone firelight, while the huskies round in a ring howled out their woes to the homeless snows. Oh God, how I loathed the thing. And every day that quiet clay seemed to heavy and heavier grow, and on I went, though the dogs were spent and the grub was getting low. The trail was bad, and I felt half mad, but I swore I wouldn't give in, and I'd often sing to the hateful thing.
Susanna, oh, don't you cry for me, for I come to Alabama with a banjo on my knee.
And it hearkened with a grin, till I came to the marge of Lake Labarge, and a derelict there lay. It was jammed in the ice, but I saw in a trice it was called the Alice May. I looked at it, and I thought a bit. Then I looked at my frozen chum, and
Here,
said I with a sudden cry,
it's my crematorium.
Some planks I tore from the cabin floor, and I lit the boiler fire. Some coal I found that was lying around, and I heaped the fuel higher. The flames just soared and the furnace roared. Such a blaze you seldom see. And I burrowed a hole in the glowing coal, and I stuffed in Sam McGee.
Heavy bugger, get in there.
Then I took a hike, for I didn't like to hear him sizzle so. And the heavens scowled, and the huskies howled, and the wind began to blow. It was icy cold, but the hot sweat rolled down my cheeks, and I don't know why. And the greasy smoke in an inky cloak went streaking down the sky. I do not know how long in the snow I wrestled with grisly fear, but the stars came out and danced about ere again I ventured near. I was sick with dread, but I bravely said,
I'll just take a peep inside. I guess he's cooked, and it's time I looked.
Then the door I opened wide.
Is a burning thing, and it makes a fiery ring. Bound by wild desire, I fell into a ring of fire.
And there sat Sam, looking cool and calm, in the heart of the furnace roar. And he wore a smile you could see a mile. And he said,
Please close that door. It's fine in here, but I greatly fear you'll let in the cold and storm. Since I left Plum Tree down in Tennessee, it's the first time I've been warm.
There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The Northern Lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake LaBarge. I cremated Sam McGee.
Well, thank you so much. Our family has had the wonderful good pleasure of doing our Southeast Alaskan Odyssey show here and around the world for over 10 years. Recently, we were able to take our show and make a movie, a Southeast Alaskan Odyssey film. We showed you a trailer to it at the beginning of our program today. Currently, the movie is being broadcast across North America on PBS. We're up to over 75 million viewers. It has been such a delight to share Alaska in our home in this way with so many people. And the ship has been very gracious, allowed us to put copies of it in DVD in the boutique, if you care to look at that on your cruise. We've also recorded 3 musical CDs, which are there, as well as a DVD of our photography. As I mentioned earlier, we have quite a collection that's all up there in the boutique, if you care to look at it. Well, during World War II, the remote Aleutian Islands became one of the fiercely contested battlegrounds of the Pacific. This 1,000-mile-long archipelago saw the first occupation of American soil since the War of 1812. Known as the Forgotten War, it began on June 3, 1942, when Japanese planes bombed on Alaska and Amakwik Islands. Tens of thousands of troops were mobilized to the Aleutians to defend the back door of the United States, while the Japanese northern garrison occupied the western islands of Attu and Kiska. The 1943 battle for Attu reclaimed that island, but not without a heavy death toll. well over 2,000 Japanese soldiers were killed and 500 American. But the 40s were known as the golden era of swing.
He was a famous trouble man from Chicago way. He had books out, no one else could play. He was the top man of his craft. And then the summer came up and he was going to the draft. He's in the army now, I'm blowing heavily. He's a boogie boogie bugle drive company B. They made a blow bugle for his Uncle Sam. It's really brought him down because he could not jam. The captain seemed to understand, because he makes it a cap when I was roughly the band. Another company jumps when he was traveling. He's a boogie boogie bugle drive company B. A Juilliard toot blows it into the bar. And boogie rhythm becomes blown out unless the bass guitar is playing with him. And the company jumps when he was traveling. He's a boogie boogie bugle drive company B. He was some boogie boogie bugle drive company B. When he played the boogie boogie bugle, he was busy as blues to me. And when he played, the company jump into the bar. He's a boogie boogie bugle drive company B. Toot blows into the bar. He can't blow out unless the bass and guitar is playing with him. And the company jumps when he was traveling. He's a boogie boogie bugle drive company B. He was a famous dope man from out Chicago way. He had books down, no one else could play. He was the top man of his craft. But then the summer came up and he was going to the draft. He's in the army now, a blown reveille. He's a boogie boogie bugle drive company B. He puts sports to the boogie every night and wakes them up the same way in the early bright. They clap their hands and stamp their feet because they know how he plays. When someone gives him a beat, he really breaks it up. When he was traveling, he's a boogie boogie bugle drive company B. Ba-ba, ba-da, ba-da, ba-ba, ba-da, ba-da, ba-ba, ba-da, ba-da, ba-ba, ba-da, ba-da. The company jumps when he plays reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of company B.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the Alaska String Band. Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation one last time for this wonderful family, the Alaska String Band. Did you enjoy that? Told you you would. They're absolutely wonderful. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for taking the time to come along. Hopefully you've not only just enjoyed the music, but learned a few things as well about the surrounding areas. Now, something completely different for you this evening. We, of course, have our wonderful dance party. So we'd love to see you down there at 9:45 with the entire entertainment team in the club on deck number 5, just so we can have a good old booze.